In Parshas Naso, we're introduced to the concept of sota. If a man suspects his wife of infidelity and he accuses her of doing such, if in fact she violates that accusation, she's brought to the Beis Hamikdash, the Kohen erases the parsha of sota, puts it in the mayim amorim, gives it to the woman to drink. In the very beginning of this parsha of sota, the pasuk uses an unusual expression, ki tiste ish. If a man will tiste, which is a difficult word to translate. Rashi actually translates it from the shorish of the word shota. If a man will accuse his wife of being insane, says Rashi, actually what this means is, ein amnafim noafim, the adulterers do not commit this act until a wave of insanity enters into their mind. What Rashi seems to be saying is, no one would commit this act of adultery unless they were insane. The Siftei Chachamim is bothered by the fact that if they were insane, they would not be held culpable. They wouldn't be responsible. Says the Siftei Chachamim, what this actually means is that the noafim, the adulterers, do not commit the act until the Yetzer Hara is mora lehem heter, until their evil inclination teaches them that it's permitted. Until they're taught by their evil inclination that it's permitted, they won't do it. That's what Rashi means by the expression of shota. They become insane in the sense that they assume that in fact this forbidden act is permitted. This Rashi is very difficult to understand, because how can one take an act that's clearly forbidden and be mora heter? How can one make it permitted? You may have a great desire, life may be rough, you may have succumbed, but there's no way in the world you're going to actually believe that that which is clearly forbidden is permitted. What does it mean that mora heter? And I believe the answer to this is predicated on understanding this concept of free will, of bechira. If I were to offer you $100 to put your hand in the fire, do you have free will to put your hand in that fire? The answer is, in theory, you have, but practically you don't. You see, you never would do it. Not for $100, not for $1,000, because it's foolish. It's self-inflicted damage. You wouldn't do it. So in theory, you have free will. Practically, you don't. When Hashem created the human and put him on this planet, it was to give man practical free will, to give him the ability to choose, so that that choice will be credited to him, so that who he is for eternity is in his capacity to mold, to shape, and he's credited for that choice. But to do that, if it could be, Hashem had a tremendous obstacle. You see, within the human is an neshama. The neshama is brilliant, the neshama is understanding, and the neshama relates to exactly the effects of every action. Every mitzvah the neshama sees clearly is helpful, beneficial, makes me into a different person. Every aveira the neshama sees as very, very damaging. In that state, the human being would never have bechira. In theory, a human could sin, but because a human would see the damage wrought by every single aveira and the great accomplishments of every mitzvah, practically he would not have bechira. To allow for free will, Hashem put another facet into the human personality, that is a facet of imagination. Hashem gave us this tremendous creative ability to see, to envision, to imagine whatever we want, and then see that as reality, see that as true. I believe that's the answer to this Rashi. You see, the woman fully well knows that it's forbidden for her to have an illicit affair, until the Yetzer Hara comes to her and says, maybe it's not that forbidden. Listen, maybe it's not that bad. After all, where you're coming from, Hashem understands. It really isn't that evil. It isn't that bad. And the reality is that we human beings have this tremendous capacity to believe exactly what we want to believe in, and the Yetzer Hara can come and teach you that what's forbidden is permitted, what's white is black, what's in and out, because that is the power of imagination. That is a power that Hashem gave to the human that actually allows us for free will. The example of that is the parsha of sota. It says Rashi, the woman would never permit this, would never do this act if she assumed it was actually forbidden. She's taught by the Yetzer Hara that it's permitted, because that is the power given to man, the power of imagination to believe what he wants to believe.